AI has itself like a huge potential. And also when it comes to headless CMS ecosystem and plugged in with headless CMS ecosystem, it has like tremendous potential. At the same time, the more it simplifies things, the better it is. And that's where the AI comes in. Because even for Garchi CMS, we have an AI module where it helps you to draft the content, but it also makes sure that it doesn't complicate that content. It makes sure that the content drafted for you is what you ask, what you
Mm,
can guardrail it. And when you use technology in conjunction or multiple technologies in conjunction, you have like a very solid product. But definitely,
yeah.
I agree with you. Like AI has a lot of potential and a lot of things to change around the world. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. Today we have Ferdinand, who is an integral part of NuxtLabs. So, Ferdinand, would you like to tell more about NuxtLabs and your role in that?
Yes. So I'm Ferdinand. I've been working with NuxtLabs for a little bit over 2 years now. My role at NuxtLabs is basically to take care of everything that the devs doesn't want to do. So it covers marketing, communication, sales, but I'm also an alpha tester of on every product that we are working on.
Mhm.
So yeah, I have my fingers in a lot of different pies.
Right. So for the viewers, it's just so what the theme for today is headless CMS for businesses. So we will be talking at the high level for the headless CMS. I should have started with my introduction as well. So I'm Aditya, co-founder of Adirani Digital Solutions Limited. We are based in UK, and also we got our own SaaS product, which is Garchi CMS. Likewise, NuxtLabs have their own headless CMS, which is Nuxt Studio. And here we are to talk about these two softwares and a headless CMS ecosystem in general, like how it
Yep,
benefits business. Right. So
definitely.
this is more going to be like a fireside chat where I have questions for Ferdinand, and I'm not sure Ferdinand has some for me, but we'll take it from there like that. So Ferdinand, my first question for you is, what are the biggest business benefits companies see when they adapt a headless CMS strategy? Like how headless CMS can bring some good benefits for them?
I think it's a several part question. On the highest level, well, for me, when a company is looking for an headless CMS or to incorporate any headless technology into their stack, it's mainly to be able to have solution that are easy to maintain and easy to plug and play with the rest of their stack on long periods. You know, I think that all companies had to face at some point the need to get rid of an applicative brick or to evolve one and just ended up in a mess of dependencies.
Yeah.
And I think the first agreed upon benefit of headless CMS and headless software are the fact that it's plug and play and yeah, and easy to evolve, maintain, and to use in different stack and applicative solution. Yeah.
Well, that's very well said. And also, when it comes to generally startups or businesses, they have like innovative ideas. And when it comes to creating web applications, it's very difficult to have innovative software created with CMS, or like a traditional CMS. At the same time, you need customization functionalities, and you need something which is more complex. With headless CMS, it gives you the benefit of just having that separation where
Yeah.
developers can focus on what they do and marketers can focus on the content management, like you being the marketing person in this Nuxt Labs, you might have seen that using Nuxt Studio itself. Like, do you have any experience there? You see, like, okay, Nuxt Studio, if this was
Yeah, definitely.
how it could be used.
Definitely. I, it's a good bridge to talk a little bit about Studio because Studio actually was built around the vision that we at the way we see the CMS market at the moment is that every CMS has to position itself on a on a spectrum that goes from uh, providing high customization possibilities to developers, and the other on the end, being user friendly for non-tech people, for marketers, and they can't do both. And that's what we're trying to do with Nuxt Studio. That's what we're trying to accomplish. And in my point of view, during the whole process of building that, was pretty fun to have at NuxtLabs, while I'm one of the only non-tech people. So every time I would say something like, yeah, I would like that to be this way because, I don't really understand what's happening on this page. Most of the time, the first answer, and after we will talk about it and come to an agreement, but the first response would be like, no, that's your fault. You didn't read the documentation. You do not know how it works. But what developers sometimes seems to forget is that expect apart from the developers, nobody is reading the documentation. And if you're a content editor, you just want it to be simple and to have something that you can use just for very content. So yeah, I totally agree with what you said. The headless approach helps people like developers and content editors to be focused on their own thing and do not have to care about the other side. Yeah.
Well, that's true. Like also bridging in Garchi CMS here, it's more like that's what our vision is, that it is suitable for both world, like the developers and the marketers or the content creators. And that's the purpose of Headless CMS. Like it should be easier and the learning curve should be as less as possible rather than having a steep one. So that's actually fit in together when you have, as you said, like the spectrum. And when you have that
Yeah.
challenge, fit that in that spectrum, that's what the real challenge is, to fit it where
Yeah.
you have the ease for developers as well as ease for marketers.
Yeah, no, it's about transforming this spectrum into a matrix, basically, and try to be good at both. Try to provide, an actual, useful solution to developers, because some CMS are great at providing a really good editing platform for content editors, but when it comes to developers, it doesn't serve a purpose. They can
Yeah,
either they have their content file on Markdown or on JSON, and they can modify them themselves quite easily without the need to get through to use an editor platform. But they will still need some to manage their media, to manage the app config file, and it's hard to conceal these
yeah.
these different needs. And yeah, that's what we're trying to do. It's a big ambition, and I think we're getting there. And I'd love to hear about the approach that you chose with Garchi. Like when when you were working on the vision on Garchi, did you have did you prioritize content editors need or developer needs? What were your approach?
Well, that's a very good question because me being the developer mindset as well, and the developer behind Garchi, like the author of it, when I use like it came up with a problem that okay, headless CMS out there, they are a bit difficult to use and have a steep learning curve. But at the same time, I'm like, wait, if I make it for a developer, it's not exactly an headless CMS. So you need like something which fits the both, where it
Yeah.
fits, but you can have that, like let's say 51% over here and 49% here. You have that 1% change here and there, but getting the balance of 50-50, it's what there's a challenge for headless CMS out there.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
when we did it, it was mostly for the CMS that is built for developers and loved by marketers, so it fits both the purposes.
Yeah. I truly think anyway that there's room for so many
Yeah,
CMS in the market, since there are so many different use cases and so many different habits and so many different uh, actual job that depends on the tool that they use. So I'm very curious every time I'm talking to another another person working on the CMS. What were their first vision? So our first vision, it was like, okay, to be honest, our our initial vision was perhaps a little self-centered, because we were like, we want something for Nuxt users.
yeah,
I don't know if you heard about the Nuxt content module.
yes,
So the Nuxt content module, as you know, it is is basically a CMS. It's basically it gives you a layer that allow you to modify. Yeah, it creates a layer to read
Yeah.
all your Markdown and YAML file and allow you to modify your content without the need to go into your code. And we so that was very techy, very techy. And we thought how we can make a kind of a pro version
Yeah.
of Nuxt content, and give the opportunity to devs that are using content to just for the dev to give to then give content to their customer, because we see it often. We see devs using the content module for themselves, but when it comes to customer project,
Yeah.
they won't choose content because they know that their customer won't use it, because it won't be as user friendly as we want. It won't
Yeah.
have the features that I have trouble like phrasing that, but my example is that the first time I had to publish content myself on Nuxt.com, editing, marketing page, editing the landing or stuff like that. So quite important page for the Nuxt ecosystem, like hundreds of thousands of unique visitors a month. And I was I was I was quite frightened anytime I had something pop up that I didn't understand. I was afraid to do a mistake.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we were like, what are the features that can reassure the content editor that and make them feel confident in the change that they do?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Well, that's very well said, because when it comes to creating content for the website, that's the marketing brain. While when it comes to creating the app for the website, you have like the developer brain. And when these two works together, you have like a solid business product, because
Yeah,
you need someone like something to convert to that app, and that's your marketing website. And for that app to work right fine again, like to serve justice that marketing content, you need a solid app. So it's like you need to have that both balanced one.
yeah. It's very interesting what you say, because you know um all the value, all corporate value is that is finding the right mix with business talent and technical talent,
Yes.
and making them work together. And most of the time we have to find the people that are able to understand both worlds
Yeah.
and create that link. And in a world where we are developing a technical solution for every kind of job, basically a CMS that are achieving both are the tool for this kind of people that are making the link between the technical people and the content, the marketing ones. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a challenge, I think we're only at the beginning of what we can do in terms of CMS.
Absolutely. Like that's actually leads to my next question, that when you say we are at the beginning, how do you see from your perspective or from NuxtLabs perspective, like how do you see the market for headless CMS? Is it evolving? Are there any opportunities? Are there any trends coming up for that?
Um, uh, I'm this close to dropping, like some magic words, like with AI, CMS is going to just change everything. Any buzzword that is going to make this video successful. But in a way, it's going to have its interest. But
Yeah.
where do I see CMS going? For me, the key is to facilitate the dialogue, the conversation between the developer that can actually make the structural change of the pages, and the marketing editor
Yeah.
that, yes, can modify content, but can also manage the media. Like, for example, like if I'm using a blog as an example,
Yeah.
uh, uh, you have your typical page with your header component, with like a couple component already coded into the page, and the editor can easily modify these components, perhaps drag and drop them to decide where is the content, where is this media, where is this component, and even if the editors let's say he's getting better at that. He can even manage himself or add new components. But if you want to change structural thing, perhaps CMS can become this place of exchange where the editor could, I don't know, draw or actually have a playground
Yeah.
to build what is thinking can be a good thing, and just send it as a ticket or something directly within your CMS to the technical team for them to arrange the page without the need to go
Yeah.
through a whole development process. That could be something, that make the CMS not only like the meeting point between the technical team and the marketing team, but also the platform to discuss between the two. I think that's the primary thing that could be like really better in all CMS. It's again facilitating collaboration between these teams, because
Yeah, like
it's difficult.
it
It can
is.
be difficult.
Because the good thing about this headless CMS market itself is like, or talking from little bit technical perspective, that everything is like a microservice. They're all like a different layers. And as you said, like when you have to create content, you have different tickets, you have A/B tests, you have like multiple things to manage. And when you have already the tools out there, you can just use headless CMS ecosystem to plug it all in together. Like create a content, put a Jira ticket or a Slack message or with using Slack APIs, or maybe more like
Yeah,
just A/B test with some A/B tools or A/B testing tools, or even like have the fancy AI to come in to modify the content or manipulate the
yeah.
content. So the opportunities are huge in it, and the market itself is growing tremendously. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think in this, is it, let's keep it to a narrow down where the AI part, is it more like the fancy term that will go with headless CMS, or is it more like a powerful tool that can go with a headless CMS?
Tough question. Tough question. Um, no, I would say we at the moment we are more in need of simplicity than
Yeah,
very complex and very like ultimately powerful tool.
yeah,
What I see often is after the delivery of a project from an agency to a customer, the customer don't like the fact that they need to go back to the agency for
yeah,
changes or for very small evolution. They'd like to be empowered, but at the same point, that's not their job, and they didn't have the time to dedicate to learn that. And the other way around, even if it means sometimes a little bit more business for the agency, that's not the kind of business that is very interesting. Doing
yeah,
small changes and selling a couple of days of work. So I think it's that the future really is here. Is how you can, without complicating things too much, giving the opportunity to the customer to manage his content. Of course, we're
yeah,
talking about LSCMS, but moreover, like not being that much afraid or not confident able to manage itself, the website itself, the application itself,
yep,
and the other way around, for the developer, the agency to not have to be solicited for any small thing that doesn't care about, and just be solicited for bigger project. Once yeah, I think empowering
Crowding.
empowering the customer side, the business side,
Yeah,
will only mean that more meaningful projects
yeah.
for the agency, and make everybody happy.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was the right answer to the question, but
Really, that's actually summarize everything, because we shouldn't build complex tools, complex in a sense like that causes more complexity. Rather, the tool should simplify the workflows. And if any technologies in conjunction helps that to simplify that flow, great. If it solves the problem, great. If it doesn't, fancy.
yeah, yeah. And it doesn't mean that you cannot, add some fancy features
Yeah,
for a specific customer, but you shouldn't. I think that's the same. Yeah, that's the same philosophy with Nuxt. With Nuxt, a lot of the feature that you can have with Nuxt are easily, you can enable and disable them very easily, and we don't include everything out of the box when when you download and set up your next project, but you can very easily select what you want to include or don't include, and perhaps that's we should apply this same vision for our vision on Headless CMS. It's
Yeah.
first you make a simple product with precise use cases. You should be able to name like the top 3 problems that you solve for coordinator and for developers. And once you are comfortable with that, and once you have a user base that is that is using your product not for the hype, but because they are actually perfectly in the use case that you just listed before, and solving exactly the problem that you said before, then you need to rely on these people to suggest the
Yeah.
next features, and yeah, perhaps some should stay under the hood,
Yeah.
and perhaps some are going to be the next major feature for your next major release. But yeah, anyway, you have to stick to a vision, and in particular for us, because we try to build a whole ecosystem at NuxtLabs. But users and community will remain the most important,
Yeah.
leverage
Absolutely.
when prioritizing
Yeah.
features.
Well, that's very well said, actually, because even someone who has used Nuxt before, I feel like Nuxt itself simplifies things a lot. Like you can plug and play things, you can go to the configurations and change it. And that's where Nuxt Studio gets very well when it comes to markdown context, because you have the module itself created. So it simplifies the flow. And on the other hand, also, when it comes to Garchi CMS, going back to that AI point, like we did thought of having an AI module to help people to smooth that flow. But the problem was it was complicating it, and it was trying to give them unnecessary answers.
Yeah.
So where we picked that out and we made it more like, okay, streamline only for the content. And when these technologies come together, like AI and headless CMS, they have power, but is it that stage? Maybe to a certain stage, yeah, that could be used. Like maybe to draft the content or maybe to draft some translation. But when the more you use it, the more you complicate it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where it becomes.
That's basically AI. The first time you're using ChatGPT or any progressive AI, it's always amazing the first
Yeah,
few response, and once you're challenging a little bit, it gets uh, more and more complicated. I'm at a point, since I'm more on the business side of thing. I'm typing a lot of email. I'm receiving a
yeah.
lot of emails, and I'm trying. I'm not trying. Now it's kind of becoming obvious when the emails are wrote with ChatGPT,
Ollie,
and
I
it, and it and it's more and more often, and
yeah,
I'm a little bit afraid because
yeah,
first of all, it means that less true human interaction,
yeah.
and the most worrying thing for me is that does the other doesn't notice, like the guy who sent me this email, that
Does he mean that?
you should have known, like nobody used this word in that order, nobody. Nobody. Like if a dictionary was speaking, perhaps, but not a human.
Well, that's true because
But yeah, well, it's
that's the
a whole
beauty of
another
it.
topic.
Like technology, double-edged sword. You always have pros and cons of it, and you have spam emails or you have some
Yeah.
human emails. It only comes like how you use it, and also it
But
touches on that point where. Oh, sorry, you're saying something.
no, just to but let's not minimize what AI can do in the
Absolutely.
CMS space, because again, we're just trying to make smooth collaboration between teams that think and work differently. So AI is a great tool for that, to find the sweet spot, and make them speak the same language. So it's just that again, it will only happen when a specific AI target with a targeted use in that space
Yeah.
will be good enough, and then sky's the limit.
Absolutely. Like AI has itself like a huge potential, And also, when it comes to headless CMS ecosystem and plugged in with headless CMS ecosystem, it has like tremendous potential. At the same time, the more it simplifies things, the better it is. And that's where the AI comes in, because even for Garchi CMS, we have an AI module where it helps you to draft the content, but it also makes sure that it doesn't complicate that content. It makes sure that the content drafted for you is what you ask, what you can guardrail it. And when you use technology in conjunction or multiple technologies in conjunction, you have like a very solid product. But definitely,
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like AI has a lot of potential and a lot of things to change around the world. So that,
It's just
yeah. Mhm.
it's a whole another podcast if we're starting
Yeah.
to talk about AI and just AI news and everything that is released on a day-to-day basis. So
Yeah.
let's go back to the CMS. But
Yeah.
yeah, no. At the moment, what we're trying to do with Studio today, what we're successfully doing, I mean, first of all, was we focus really on the developer side
Yeah.
because we knew that Nuxt users are developers,
Yeah.
and and we wanted at first to empower them. And we know that when it comes to Markdown files, when it got to JSON, when it got to actual content, most of the time developer doesn't need a CMS. So we thought, what should we add in terms of feature for developer to actually like our CMS. So it was first of all Git-based. For us, it was like a like the base thing. You need your CMS to be Git based, to be very
Yeah.
useful to developer to be able to know that no database, version history,
Yeah.
easy media management,
Yeah.
and also we added a lot of different features. The one I mentioned earlier, but the fact that you can manage your app config and everything that you should normally do within your terminal.
Yeah.
But now basically we want the developer, once he deployed his website, to not need at all to come back to his his code base,
Yeah.
and to be able to manage everything, new page, new component. Once he used the component once any view component, uh, once it has been used at least once in his code base, Studio will read it, and it can
Yeah.
be used directly within Studio in new pages, in old pages, wherever he wants.
Right.
So that was a first objective, and then the second objective, and we are reaching it at the moment. We are going to release like a new version with a new UI interface in a few weeks. We've been focusing on the editors, the content editors, the side for months now, and now it's about having a nice interface without too many questions to answer.
Yeah.
Uh, everything you need to deploy change confidently, live preview to see exactly the change we are doing live, live collaboration to be able to modify pages, and even at the component level, modify with your team everything you want. A nice, a Notion-like experience.
Yep.
Being able to drag and drop everything,
Yeah.
being able to add anything, any component with just a click, basically, and deploy in a couple of clips with a draft and validation process for you to be confident again.
Nice. Actually, that actually connects to my next question, because when it comes to businesses or startups all around the world, they have a vision and they reach a scale, most of them, or depends. It's again a subjective topic, but let's say X number of startups reach a stage where they are enterprise level and they need something as a solid solution. So headless CMS in general, like if I talk from Garchi CMS perspective, and then we'll just have from the Nuxt Studio perspective, like how it fits
Yeah.
that journey of going from this stage where you're literally started as a startup with some vision, went to an enterprise system. Like how do you use that product there? So when it comes to Garchi CMS, that's where you like it's made for this journey where like being a startup owners or startup creators as ourselves, the journey of going from the stage where you started something, you need something very minimalistic, something simple, something easy to start with, And then as you grow, you have some more complicated challenges, and that's where you have the technology to adapt as well. So Garchi CMS fits this journey in a way where it makes sure that it fits in your tech stack, adapts to it, and
Yeah.
everything is SaaS, so API based, so you can just plug the content wherever you like, modify it, make it complicated, as complicated as you want, have that complex data model. So the overall journey is smooth in that phase. So how is it with Nuxt Studio? How that journey is attained from this stage of a startup, which generally started, going to that enterprise stage? How is the ROI? How does that journey look like?
Oh, it's interesting. We never actually like considered the integration or the onboarding on Studio through through a growing
Yeah,
company. You know,
yeah,
we always use the use case that we were confronted to very often. Meaning, like how do developers or agency can give their own CMS to their customer and be and not be worried anymore about daily edits and that. But it's interesting. In that process, it's funny because every time I'm thinking about a startup, I'm thinking it has to be a tech startup. And
yeah,
if you are a tech startup, you do not need in the very early stage to have several tools that can
yeah.
actually uh, make uh, your day-to-day heavier and more busy, and I think Studio could be great to for small startup, but it would be only on a personal scale
Yeah.
to perhaps share easily your project, your ideas, your content to anybody that wants to participate on it or just have share an opinion about it. But uh, uh, yeah, it's actually a case study that we didn't study.
Well, that's interesting because when you talked about Nuxt Studio itself, like Nuxt itself is used in enterprise systems, like big companies are using it, and Nuxt Studio being that connector with the Nuxt module where you can have the content brought in from Nuxt Studio
Yeah.
using flexibility of Nuxt content module. Like from a developer's perspective, I see like it has a good broad range where it starts, as you say, like you don't need those many tools, so it can fit that purpose, and
Mhm.
that can be scaled up as you like.
Ah, slowly adds up. Yeah, yeah. I see. Yeah, for someone working on a startup and using external editors or anybody to add content, Studio can be a great tool for him, and it would be free because for only one user, it's free, and for all your personal project, it's free. And since most of the startups start from a personal project,
Yes.
Studio could be empowering at that stage, definitely. We always thinking about company that has to manage multiple projects and
Yeah.
have multiple teams on board, uh, and that's in that spirit that we thought about Studio.
Oh, that's interesting. So we are at the end of our podcast. So to sum up everything, when it comes to headless CMS ecosystem and business itself, a lot of opportunities, a lot of trends going on, and also there's a huge market space. Also, it just simplifies the process overall. And when it comes to the solid products out there, like there are lots of headless CMS products out there, but you need something which is simple and has the less learning curve. Also, we touched on Nuxt Studio and Garchi CMS aspects, like how these two fits in that headless ecosystem and how businesses can leverage those to build something as a visionary product or a startup product. So thank you, Ferdinand, for your valuable time. Any closing comments, anything you would like to add for our viewers?
No, just it was a pleasure to have this podcast with you. Just about Studio, just stay tuned because in a month or so we're going to release like the huge second version with a revamped UI interface and a whole new onboarding process, more welcoming to a non-tech user. So yeah, stay tuned for awesome release coming soon.
Nice. You can find the link to the Nuxt Studio and Garchi CMS in the description section. Don't forget to check out these two technologies, and also definitely do try Nuxt Studio with Nuxt. Solid product.
Thank you.
Right then. So thank you, everyone. I'll see you again in our next podcast. Till then, peace.
Bye, everyone.